What's up, skate fam? I'm David Laliette, and you are watching D Skates. In today's episode, I want to cover the topic of rockered inline skates and how different frames react when rockered. I previously made a video, which I'll link in the description below, covering the differences between 3 and 4-wheeled rockered skates, which mainly focused on the point of contact for each frame. And while contact points are relevant no matter which skate we're using, we will always get better results from a comparison if the two setups are as close as possible. Here I have my Powerslide Hardcore Evos, which are made in Powerslide's Trinity mount system with a 4x80mm Katana frame. The Katana comes in 4x80, 3x90, 3x100, 3x110, and 3x125mm. All these frames can be set to flat or rockered by flipping the position of certain axles, except the 125mm, which can't be rockered. In my skate closet, I have the Katana in 3 variations: 3x90, 3x100, and 4x80. I like every variation that I have, with some minor complaints about each, which I'll get to later. My Rain Helios came with a 3x100 setup, and the Evos here came with 3x90. I had to purchase the 4-wheel frame separately, and I almost waited until it was too late to get it, as I literally bought the last pair I could find anywhere on the internet. Maybe it's timing that everyone is out, or maybe they're discontinued. I haven't contacted Powerslide about it, and I can't find any information, so I honestly don't know. I just know I got the last ones I could find, and I paid more than I wanted to because I waited until the last minute to buy them. But I have to say, I'm very happy I spent the money. I love the 3-wheel frames because I do a lot of city skating, and when I'm city skating, I enjoy skating fast and covering a lot of ground. I practice my edge work in them, and I can't express how much fun it is to be doing edge drills while I'm moving so fast. The larger wheels also handle rough surfaces much better, and if you've seen some of the places I skate, you know I need skates that provide a smoother ride. However, the 4-wheel frame is much more stable. The frame lengths vary so much that each one feels very different, even though the size difference between each wheel setup is only 10mm. With the 3x100 frames, the frame length is 215mm. The 3x90mm frame is 225mm in length, and the length of the 4x80 setup is 243mm. What does that mean? As you probably know, having a shorter frame means that the skates provide more agility, and having a longer frame means it gives us more stability. Like I said, for city skating, I really enjoy the speed and agility I get with the tri-skates. Lately, however, I've been spending more and more time training my edges with figure skating drills, and I'm planning to push myself more in the world of inline slalom eventually. So I really feel like I'm benefiting a lot from these edge drills you see me doing. And while again, I really enjoy the agility of the shorter frames, I don't get what I feel is the optimum balance between agility and stability. They're clearly less stable to me, and that's not just because of the shorter frame, but also because the rockered tri-skates only have 2 points of contact, whereas the rockered 4-wheel skates have 3 points of contact. Let me explain. When using rockered skates, only 2 wheels are in solid contact with the skating surface. The other 2 hover above the ground, and we have to rock our balance between the front and back in order to change which wheels have the most surface contact. With tri-skates, we only have the front and back rocking position, whereas the 4-wheel frame allows us to get a front, center, and back position. Having 3 points of contact means that we can get a much smoother transition from front to back instead of the abrupt rocking on the center wheel that happens when we rock between our 2 positions on the tri-skate. Again, each skate has its purpose. If I were, say, playing hockey and I wanted to use my center wheel as a turning pivot point and be able to rock the positions quickly, I would use the 3-wheel frame, hands down. but most of what I like to do is dance related, and I really enjoy having the stability for fancy footwork and eccentric movements in my upper body, so the 4-wheel frames are easily what I favor overall. Now, I'm not trying to sell you on these. In fact, as I stated, I don't even think you can buy these specific frames anymore. I just want to give you as much information as possible because I get a lot of questions about the difference in tri-skates and traditional 4-wheel setups, especially concerning Rockered skates. Like all topics, we are each going to have different preferences. Some of you may prefer the 3-wheel Rockered setup, and that's perfectly okay. I love that setup, but as I explained, I like to dance and I like to do fancy footwork, and having a better balance between agility and stability is really where the sweet spot lies for me. Also, you guys know I love to ice skate. In fact, if I lived closer to an ice rink, I would probably mainly ice skate just because I've not been able to spend the kind of time with ice that I would like to. But I feel like I get the most agility out of ice skates, so I try my best to set my inlines up as close as possible to a pair of ice hockey skates. 4 wheels comes the closest, hands down. The extra point of balance gives me a smoother rocking action, and when I'm leaning really deep into my edges, it's easier to transition between the front, center, and back positions. Now, the reason I like the Katana frame particularly is because they can go from Rockered to flat without needing to swap between frames. They're also on the Trinity system, which I really prefer to any of the 2-point mounts I've tried. I first learned skating as a young child in quads, and because of the wide amount of surface contact, I can put more power down without slipping than I can using inlines. So I'm used to being able to exert more force and push harder than inlines really allow for. Over the years, I've had to adjust my skating style to develop skill and power on inlines, and that's okay. It's just part of learning to be adaptable so I can develop my skill in many different skates. But if we're being real here, I want to be able to push as hard as possible, and combining a nice middle ground durometer wheel with a very stiff and compliant frame has given me the ability to dig in for more power, and I feel like the Trinity mount provides more of that responsiveness to my power. Considering all those things, I feel like this right here is my favorite skate setup, and I've worked really hard to find exactly what I want in a skate. So I wanted to sing its praises for a minute before I tell you what I don't like about it. The biggest problem I have is the axles. I love that I can flip them, but sometimes they're a real pain to reinsert. And even if I were going to stick with a flat or Rockered position and never fluctuate between the two, I still have to rotate my wheels at least every other session. And depending on how hard I skate, sometimes I have to rotate them every single session. So I feel like I'm constantly fighting with the adjustable axles on each frame. Sometimes they get stuck and won't come out, and I have to press on the threads with the end of a pen to get them to pop out. And sometimes they don't want to go in, and I can spend 5 minutes rotating and pressing, pulling on the wheels to get the position just right, so that one axle will pop into place. On my 3x90s, I have one axle hole that needs to be filed because of the amount of pushing and rotating I've had to do in them, and it's caused some of the metal to shave into one spot and makes that axle really hard to remove when I need. Actually, I don't have any other problems with the frame itself, but that singular problem can be a real headache. I wish that Powerslide would remedy this, but I know it's easier to sit here in my chair and complain about a problem than it is to come up with an effective solution and fix the problem. So I still recommend these frames in whichever variation you prefer. As far as buying the frames by themselves, I just wish that skate companies were more user-friendly and sent more instructional information to the consumer than they do. And in my experience, Powerslide seems to be one of the worst when it comes to sending out very generic and limited information with each skate that I have bought from them. In this instance, I received a bag of bolts, way more bolts than I have holes for on my skates actually, and while they all look to be the same, they vary in length. And there's nothing in here with them to explain why I got so many, why they're different, and what I'm supposed to use them for. I know that they're mount screws for the frame, but someone who bought them for the Evo might not realize that if they got an Evo package and have these mount bolts that look quite a bit different. When I'm spending hundreds of dollars for a pair of skates, I don't really appreciate having to do a bunch of research to get things to come together for me and figure out all the little features that skate has to offer after I bought it. I feel like I should get some literature in the box with them to help me out, and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Surely there are tons of beginning skaters who order their first pair of skates hoping for some instructions on how to use and maintain them. It is kind of frustrating for me, so I can imagine a beginner would experience that even more so. But I didn't get on here just to gripe. I just want to be fair and point out the cons of a product that you may end up spending money on. I love these frames and I love the Trinity mount system. I have them in 3 variations because I think very highly of them, and I want to give as much information as I can about them because I work for a living too, and my channel is not sponsored, so the majority of the skates you see on here were purchased with my own money. I understand the struggle of wanting to spend a lot on a good pair of skates and not feeling like you have enough information to make a really informed decision with your $500 purchase. Thanks for stopping in and watching this episode. If you liked this video and it helped you or you got some value from it, please click the like button and share this video with your friends so we can spread the love of skating with others. If you want to see more videos and you would like to follow the skating tutorial series I'm working on right now, scroll down and click the subscribe button, and make sure to click the bell next to it so you can get notified anytime I release new skating content. And I will see you the next time I lace up.